There we go.
Yeah, wages. You're still paying them.
All right, I am gonna call the, that was my Dalton Township Board of Trustees work session into order. If we can do invocation, and I'm gonna give you that. So you're going to do the, will you pray first, Annie? Ready?
There.
No.
Yes, Laura, do it. Okay, fine, I'll do it. Lord, I just thank you for tonight. I thank you that you have brought every person into this room to help make smart decisions that better our community and enhance the quality of life. And I just ask that you lead us into making good and sound decisions in Jesus' name, amen. And then if we can stand for the I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and then we will do a whole.
Michael,
Here.
Eugene,
Here.
Heather,
Here.
Nola,
Present.
Christie,
Here.
Lee,
Here.
Amy here.
And then, if we can do with the approval of the agenda.
Make motion for the agenda.
Moved by Nolan, do we have support?
Support.
Support by Eugene, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, and then we will carry on. You don't have any, decision items, just discussion items, because it's a fully work session. So you guys got the packet for the budget. I put together slides that would help us like stay, so we don't go line by line by line. And just highlighted the ones that changed. In your packet, you'll see that there's the last 3 fiscal years. I couldn't do this year because it hasn't ended yet. So you have the end, one ending in 2025, 24, and 23, just for reference. And then projections for this next fiscal year. So we're gonna go over the 2026-27 budget. So general fund, fire fund, cemetery fund, and brief overview of the other funds. Just to give an idea, the general fund and what it all actually entails. So general fund has main office operations, which is the administrative work for all different departments. Building fund does help pay in for our administration a little bit. But there's far more that happens in this office that comes out of that. Maintenance and parks, so everything that Justin does that isn't involved with the cemetery comes out of the main budget. And then all of the roads, we don't have a DPW that covers like like Justin doesn't have the equipment to go out and pave and do all that. So we contract with the same kind of road commission. But that all comes out of the general fund, so a lot of stuff. A thing to note that the revenue changes, you know, I said this to Eugene. It's kind of like a best estimated guess, like educated guess. In a way, you don't know what your revenues are gonna be. You're just guessing at what they're gonna be based on increases of taxes and what we think the interest rates might be. So it's a lot of like make up and hope it meets, which we try to estimate the least that we think that we're gonna get. And that's why we've had in budget adjustments increases in some of our revenues. Cause I think it's better to estimate that you're gonna get less and then get more.
Yep.
So, state revenue sharing did go down. I actually edited this slide. It was at 20,000 was estimated decrease. Christy's got the sheets in front of her if you guys want to see it. They sent out a new number and it's actually about 10,000. It's our estimated decrease from what state revenue sharing is for. So. And then we were getting that monthly easement payment for the cell tower. I don't know when that payout is gonna happen, if it's gonna be this fiscal year or next fiscal year. But we also just got the new payment started with the tower on Goose Egg Lip, which is just a little bit less than what we were getting with the other one. So we're still gonna have a monthly income from that one. So we lost one, gained another,
Nearly the same amount.
and pretty close to the same amount, so. This is gonna be discussion. The last year, we did COLA increase for all of our salaries. Obviously, there's no decision tonight, but I wanted to throw that out there for you guys. I have to put it in the packet next week for the resolutions for trustee, treasurer, clerk, supervisor. And I kind of wanted to give you a ballpark on what that actually adds to the overall yearly budget with those increases. Because sometimes we see it, and if you don't see what that difference makes, it just throwing that out there. And I don't feel like any of us show up to get a big fat paycheck, because I feel like at least, you know, all of us do more than what that entails, so I'm not doing it for a paycheck. So Dalton staff, though, we do COLA increase, or at least try to do COLA increase for the staff. Per our employee policy, it says that we try to meet COLA, which we all know the cost of living, food, gas, housing has only gone up. Social Security set COLA at 2.8%. So you'll see that in the lines that are for administrative assistant underneath clerk, treasurer. You'll see that under Steve's zoning, maintenance and grounds for Justin and his crew. Try to factor that in there. Also talked about raising the deputy pay by 200. It has been 1,000 consistently for a very long time. And the amount of responsibilities that those girls take on in that deputy role, they still get paid their administrative pay, but it felt like maybe we needed to increase that slightly. So it ends up being another $25 a quarter, or not 25, 50 a quarter, because they did that quarterly. Also, this is Heather. I couldn't make the picture any smaller, so there is Heather, large screen. Heather is our finance coordinator that the the board had said that the executive committee could hire. We originally had her under that top GL number there. She got with the auditor, and he said that she actually needed to have her own department and some GLs created there. So you'll see the new department, the 191 in the budget created. That is for her, and then we'll zero out that other line. She has been in municipal government for a while and is very eager and has been investigating things and kind of going, what? But also figuring out why, what, and how to fix it. So that's super good. But we appreciate that. So, another thing I wanted to note before I move on, with having her on, we hired her on as hourly. She's been part-time 1 day a week, but we initially were considering having it be full-time. She does want to do part-time and do up to 27 hours a week. Something I want to consider, and I did not factor in, if we pay her her hourly rate, it ends up making Steve, whose hourly pay would be a little less than hers. And I don't feel like that makes sense. So I want to factor trying to increase Steve so that he's at least making the same, if not a little bit more, because Steve's role is zoning administrator, and he goes far above and beyond zoning administrator. He really should be titled zoning and planning administrator, because he does all the parks planning, You know, he has saved the township thousands of dollars coming up with plans. You'll see it later in the slides. So I don't ever want him to feel not valued because we hired somebody and he doesn't necessarily know what their amount is, but he can see because it's all public what that range is. And I just, something that I want to, it's not in there yet, but it would probably increase it by, Amy and I were doing a little bit of math.
$2,000
Between
a year.
$1,600 and, or yeah, $1,600 and $2,000 a year, which I feel like is not a bad investment. Website update, we have to do a 5-year plan. So if you see that GL still looks a little bit high, it's because we have a couple of years, we got to pay that off. That's going to be for computer operating in there. That's the front page of our website. The girls worked really hard. Worked with a couple people. Some of them are nicer than others. But they got it and it looks great and we're compliant with things, so it's good. If we do not purchase a new printer this fiscal year, big sharp printer, we should definitely have that considered. So that's in there for next year. We can decrease that if we end up getting it this year, but wanted to make sure there was a little bit of room in there.
Will that be on the agenda next week?
It should be. The girls got some quotes.
Good.
I haven't been able to review them all, but I'm hoping to be able to compile that and bring it as a decision item. So, but yeah, when we purchased the one, we purchased it back in 2017, and it was $7,000, $8,000. So I still think that the one, not making any decisions, but I'm saying one was significantly less. So,
$1,000 a year.
so, and then briefly touch on these two things. So insurance cost went up, for health insurance, 16.4%. Which over all of the funds, which includes our full-time fire guys and here, it increased a total of $60,000. So for the year.
For
the last
state.
Yep. And I mean, I would love for him to come in and say there wasn't any increase. I think last year was less, but
She was like 11.
Yeah.
It was 11.
Like 11.
so,
So
Mhm.
we should be done.
yeah.
Yeah.
They said
That's 2
hopefully,
years.
It's 2 to 3.
Yeah.
Mhm.
so hopefully, I mean, it never decreases, but hopefully next year when they
Yeah.
come in, it'll be like, 5 or 4 or not 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, so wanna, that's a whole other issue. The unemployment benefits, we currently have 3 part-time seasonal maintenance crew. We do not qualify as an opt-out. Some things do, like golf courses, Michigan Adventures, like things that are truly seasonal. We're not seasonal, we operate year round. And because of that, we have to pay unemployment for whatever their benefit is. So if they don't have any other employers that they're claiming on, we pay 100% of their unemployment benefit. If they have multiple, then we pay whatever that equals out to. So that's why the FGL has increased over the years. Amy and I were trying to figure it out and got an answer we didn't want, but that is
It's been driving me crazy.
why. And then just a reminder why that GL had gone up, for county assessing, that we had renewed the county assessing agreement and that it had increased to the $112,000 a year. Sure none of us forgot. And then for elections, Kennedy, I'll just read it because Kennedy got this together. During the July 2025 monthly Muskegon County Clerks Association meeting, Muskegon County Election Director Lori Hayes and Clerk Karen Bowie shared information and recommendations regarding the upcoming requirement for updating HART voting equipment in 2027. Voting equipment in Michigan expires every 10 years. And Dalton Township's current voting equipment was acquired through state funding in 2017. As federal funding is unlikely during this time, Lori Hayes and Bowie advised to budget approximately $15,000 to $20,000 additional per precinct in 2026 for new equipment that could be purchased. With AV County Board requiring half the amount. Dalton Township has 3 precincts. I would say that wrong, even it's funny. And 2 AV County boards. The estimated increase would be $60,000 to $80,000. So, yeah,
We are saving money,
by
Giving-
doing the
early voting,
yes.
so we won't have to purchase equipment for
Yeah.
that.
And I will say I didn't decrease anything, even though we are saving money because next year is going to be another major election year. So, yes, we're not doing early voting, but we did do early voting last year, so that didn't change. But we had to keep the money in there to make sure we pay the people for the election days. We'll have them because of governor and all sorts of stuff. There's Justin, looking so happy. Building and grounds, maintenance supervisor Justin, I don't have to say it, he does a fantastic job. Him and his team work super hard. Justin is here in the winter, probably more hours than he should be, because he's plowing and, just really getting stuff done. And this year he had 2 requests for the budget for equipment, and we talked about it a little bit briefly before. Not the dump trailer, I don't think I brought that up to anybody, but the dump trailer that we have is over 30 years old. And he's brought it in for repairs. It's the axles and it just keeps eating at parts, and then it eats at tires. And so he's fixing it constantly, and he's like, I would just like to get a new one. No lamb, so that's the request that's in there for that. We have a tractor. Yeah, I don't know if you guys knew that. We do have a tractor. It's broken more than it works. And he talked about trading that tractor in with a lawnmower that we don't use. That's in the back. And trying to get a deal. And he worked it out with the 45,000 is with that deal, because they were well over 50,000. And that was with trading in the lawnmower and the tractor we have currently. Nobody really wanted the tractor we have currently. We called a couple places and they said,
Because you can't get
Question.
parts for it.
Mhm.
Question. Our dump trailer.
Mhm.
Is that a gooseneck or does it hook on the hitch or what?
it's a hitch, yeah.
What is it?
It's not a gooseneck, it's a
A
hitch.
gooseneck? Okay.
Yeah, and it is definitely,
It's beat.
yeah,
It's been
It's-
replaced 3 times. And
it's served its life.
it didn't even stop. Let's be honest, it didn't even dump for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
I
So,
replaced the floor in it, replaced them. Now we helped do it years ago.
mhm.
Yeah,
I think he said something like the bolts or something keep getting ripped in it, and he's like, it's that he brought it in and they fixed it and they said it's fixed, but I don't know how many more times we're gonna be able to do this.
Well, the issue is that axle bolt breaks,
Mhm.
something happens. Right.
Yeah,
yeah.
You all,
Yeah. and with some of the projects we've had to do, and some of the projects we would like to continue to do, the tractor would be super helpful because he's been renting equipment.
Well, that tractor's a joke.
Right, the one we have currently. Like I said, we called a couple places and they said,
Is it a green one?
It's a green Montana that doesn't even have 1,500 tip load, and he scoops snow in his back tires coming off of it.
Yeah.
Say it's sitting at the Beagle for.
Yes, yeah,
So that's a little guy.
yeah, it was a joke when he bought that.
yeah,
Oh.
and he's called and people are like, we're, they getting parts for it was hard. And then, when he was trying to get it in for a trade, and they're like, we don't even buy those. And so, he talked to somebody locally who's done, stuff for us in the past, and they were one of, I think the only one that said that they would take it as a trade-in, so he's done his due diligence.
Okay,
Mhm.
yeah.
But yeah, he's done his homework and his due diligence, and that was what he had come up with a rough estimate. So I was like, well, put it in there and see. But yeah. And then the next fund is for roads and drainage. This is a large reason why. I don't know if you guys saw that last page of the main account. We are technically over budget. And this is a decent portion. Why? Because we have been using ARPA funds for roads and the ARPA funds are gone. So if we do road projects, that's also adding to what's coming out of the main account. My suggestion was Automobile Road. That is the section between Bard and Riley Thompson. They paved the section or resealed the section of automobile between Bard and Tyler last year. So it would just be nice that if we could finish that stretch. Part of the holdup on that one was there is a gravel operation. And I don't know that they renewed for being able to haul out of there. But that was a significant load on the road. And so that was part of why they were wanting to hold off on that one. But I think we could do it. The other one is Hyde Park. That wouldn't be, if we did choose to do that one, that would be something that would have to be negotiated with Fruitland. Because Hyde Park is half ours and half Fruitland's. I did shoot the supervisor there a message. There's not a lot of residents. I think we maybe have 2 and they have 1 on that stretch. So it's not a thing that I feel like assessing it for that little, it's not even a whole road section. It's like a third, I think. It's right over by McMillan.
Oh, a little tunnel there.
Yeah. And as a parent who dropped their kid off at McMillan every day, you drive down that road and then you hit the bump and then it's like washboard. It's terrible. And so I know that more than just our residents would benefit from it. Anybody who takes their kid to McMillan School is gonna be like, yay, so happy. But that's definitely something that we should, if we do that, we're gonna wanna coordinate that financial with Fruitland. So. Another thing that I kind of played around with was if they paved the part of Michelinda that they didn't pave, then maybe I could bring it to the board as we can do this project if you finish this project. Or at least we can take a higher percentage of this project if you finish this project. Because the people on Michelinda paid for a special assessment for their road to get paved. And they still have gravel at the end of their road. Because Fruitland didn't get in on it. So we'll see how that works out. But I don't know if any of those other ones jump out to anybody like, hey, this is something that I would rather do. Or if you guys have heard other things. Moving on then, transfer station under Public Works. This is one of the services that we offer to our residents at Dalton. Operates on Wednesdays and Saturdays, April through October, November through March, Saturday only. We do offer residents a one-time use pass for $25. We haven't increased rates. We've talked about that. We don't really gain money on the transfer station. If anything, we break even or spend. We do get money from, I have a sheet I was working on, like metals and stuff like that. We do get some monies back, but capital outlay had been increased on that one. The sign, you guys can see there, is hideous. You can still read it, but it's not long that you won't be able to do that anymore. Steve, again, one of the duties that isn't a Steve duty, but Steve did, went out and looked at the signs in his past life. That's what he did, was signs. And he looked at the wood and he said the frame and everything is still good. If we did the sign, it would just be replacing that, the actual sign itself within the face, so. The other thing that is happening isn't an emergency, but is something we should consider, if not this year, the following year. Correct? Is in the retainer wall that whole top of the transfer station, I don't know if you guys have been there, has paved. That's in one of the retainer walls that holds that up. He got some quotes. He did some quick quotes and didn't get a ton yet. On how to fix that. Somebody said putting like I don't want to say it's rebar, but putting like enforcement beams through it to stabilize it, and but I didn't put that full amount in capital outlay, but if we get quotes from Justin and he's like, hey, we get to the spring and he's like, this has only gotten worse, I'd really like to accomplish this instead of the sign, then I feel like if it's a couple thousand, we can bring it for an adjustment if we need to, but the guy who looked at it said it's not really like super urgent, it just looks rough, but over time it will get worse. So at some point in the next few years, we're gonna want to consider that.
Duct tape. Gorilla tape.
What's that one? Yeah, the commercials. Mhm.
Yeah, right.
And you slap all your problems.
That was black too, no.
Yeah, and oddly enough, this weekend I met somebody who was a concrete engineer. I'm like, I have a problem for you. Something that we've talked about in the past, so I want to bring it up, senior village. This is through the County Board of Commissioners, like kind of organize or make that thing happen for us. For the last several years, Dalton Township has used senior millage money for snow plowing, through Living Word Church. And the remainder always goes to Age Well Services for Save Seniors. If we wanted to receive other options and look into something else, we would need to do that before October of 2026. It goes off of the county fiscal year and not our fiscal year. So if we do it too late or too early, like now it's too early because they're still running that fund. But sometime this summer, if we're going to consider it, well, both of them are. So Living Word Church, they do 20 seniors driveways, 20 pushes. So 20 times they go and plow their driveway, and it's $38.50 a push. And they don't charge different for super long driveways or super short driveways. So if we have a resident that has a 20-foot driveway, but if we have a resident that has a 100-foot driveway, 120-foot, they're plowing it for the same amount. The other one is Age Well. I've got that little snippet right from their webpage, but educating law enforcement, healthcare providers, advocating for policies and programs to ensure safety for adults. Biggest thing that we benefit from is the investigating and persecuting perpetrators who have crimes against seniors. And we've had reports, and we have reports that come to us and let us know how many of our residents actually benefit from this program. And it's more than you would think, which is kind of sad, but it is definitely something that is being used within Dalton Township. So definitely a good use of the extra funds when we're done with that plowing. Next fund is Parks and Rec. Total boat launch, talked about that before. There was a Eagle permit that was pulled back in October of 2024, and it expires in October of 2029. So increased parks construction to accommodate for that project. Justin doesn't think it's going to be 15,000. He thinks that 10,000 is probably more like it. But this is another thing where if we did the tractor, that's going to help. not have to rent equipment to do these projects. But yeah, he's using this mostly as, so we have other boat launches that we take care of throughout the township. There is I don't know if I want to call it a system, but a way that helps the boat launch not wash out. And I think it's GeoWeb. Anyway, he's going to use that at this one to see if it really works and get a boat launch actually established there before trying to take up other ones that are already. He'd have to rip them out, put that in, and rebuild it, which would save with maintenance in the long run from all the stuff that gets washed away into the lakes. And residents don't love it when they have pebbles all over their sandy beaches. So whatever we can do to keep the materials in is a savings to us. So.
And this is just for like kayaks and canoes and.
It's not a big lake.
It's
Stuff
not
like
a
that.
big lake. I mean, I don't even think that there's like, I don't think you can do like large motor boats.
It's not,
No.
it's not a sport lake.
But
Sport lake.
I don't.
being
think
able to put your kayak or whatever.
Right,
But
canoes and kayaks, yeah.
yeah, so,
It's weird for that.
right. Yeah, I mean, we could definitely like review that. But I know that Jeff had pulled the Eagle permit. There was a time limit. Also right in that area too, it's very,
Mussy.
yeah, mucky and like lily pads and lots of vegetation right on the beach there. That's not a lake that we treat. So we have all the assessments for the other lakes for treatment. That one does not. But if we, brought it back to Justin and said, hey, we would rather not do that one, maybe try a different one. That's fine too, but we'd have to go through we'd want to go through a process and make sure that we can get an Eagle permit and stuff before we do it. Another thing is the Duff Field, and then I put dog park question mark. So this is something that's been talked about in the past. By the board. The gun club owns this property and it's leased to us for park use. The lease states it can never be used for purposes contrary to the health and well-being of the public. That's all it says. So, in a recent meeting at the gun club, they did approve Duff Field being used as a dog park. Truthfully, it's being used for that now, but there's no rules posted. There's no things posted. There's no stuff. We have, the extent of it is our little doggy poop bag trash can thing we got going.
Yeah.
So this is something that we would want to reach out to our insurance and make sure we don't have any liability. It's not technically our property. We lease it though. So want to make sure what that would entail. There's another project that's further into the slides that would be taking out some fencing and then that fencing could be put there. So there wouldn't be a cost other than the man hours of putting a fence in. It obviously will come back to the board when I get more information on like liability and things like that. Just because the gun club said yes, doesn't mean that our insurance company will love it. So just kind of throwing it out as a future goal. Grant opportunities, Beagle Sports Park. You guys are probably sick of talking about Beagle. Steve, Justin, and I had a phone call with a recreation grant coordinator from the DNR. There are 3 different types of grants that we could apply for Beagle. It would be a great starting point for some future goals for the community. With the long-term goal of improvement of infrastructure and the continued ask from the community for a building. So I'll show you what that might look like. I know we've talked about potentially having that other places. But when we were looking at the plan and space, I'll show you what got put together. Also having something in another location that's not already being maintained means that's another place that the maintenance crew has to stop and go and maintain.
Mhm.
So we do have other properties available, but that's just something to keep in mind if we get to that point. And then in the following slides, we'll go over some of that information. DNR grant history, we got a couple in 1973, 1978, 2003, was for 4.3 acres that would become Eagle Sports Park. So, Eagle's not really that old. 2013, Dalton received $45,000 for the few paved parking spots we have at Beagle. The vault bathroom, because it was ADA compliant, and the ADA compliant picnic tables, and they resurfaced the playground and resurfaced the basketball courts. The grant options that we have, there is the recreational passport grant. That's a maximum of 150,000, 25% match. So that's something that we have to think about when we get to it. You can apply for as many of those. So I'll explain in a second what we kind of were talking about. The next one is a maximum of 400,000 with a 25% match. It is a board for a trust, so it does have a point system, but ultimately they could be like, that one has 10 points, this one has 14 points, but we like the 10.1 better and approve it. Also with that one, it's more for the land, like acquisition, like getting of land for a park, not necessarily, sometimes they reward it for doing work at the park, but mostly it's for creating it. And then the Land and Water Conservation Fund had the highest amount that we could get, but it is 50% matching. It is a federal grant, so there's more hoops because the federal government likes to make stuff super easy for us. And then with it also being a federal fund, it's up to the federal government on when they release that funding. So it could be that we apply this year, get approved at the beginning of next fiscal year, but don't see the funds until the following. So it's like a long game. The conversation was you could apply for two. Show you guys that preliminary. It would be super great if we could pave that parking lot, because we do continue to put money, thanks in to maintaining the parking lot, and people do the donuts and the wine in the parking lot. So Steve did this, another thing that is not a Steve duty, but Steve did. If we pave parking lot, we have sidewalk right now that comes over, I think it ends around here. No, it's over here. Anyway, one grant we could ask for, we've talked about putting bathrooms in the building that is there. You could do one that is for bathrooms in the building and the sidewalk from the parking lot to be completed. And then you could do another passport one for paving the parking lot. So we could do two and potentially get both those projects done. The thing is, if we put a community building up here in front of the soccer field, we already have parking. We can add a couple of spots here for handicap parking. So this could be a long-term goal that, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, or maybe less, depending, that could actually be a thing that happens. But
Constituents would be happy.
we can also put in for all of these things and see what happens. Just throw the net out there. Doesn't mean that we're on the hook. We can throw it out there, and then if they say we hate it, you're not gonna. The lady's like, I can look at the stuff and go, nope, you're not gonna qualify for that one, and you're gonna get more points if you put all your eggs in this basket. So we might throw it out there and just see what happens. And then if they say you're granted it, and the board ultimately says, you don't want to spend that after the 25, we just don't do it. or we get partway through the process and go, yeah. So. Okay,
I guess I got one question.
okay.
That 25% match, what does that mean? Like, just like 100%, like, is that
Yeah.
like, we pay that part?
Yes, and they're reimbursing. So that's another thing. If we get, so say we get the one for 150. Somebody comes out and pays the parking lot. We pay them to pay the parking lot. And we put it back in, but we still have to pay 25% of that. So like $100 bill, we pay 25%, then they pay the 75.
We pay up front.
Yeah,
They
They
reimburse
reimburse
us by 75%.
yeah, up to our limit. So once we hit it, then if we go over, then that's on us and you have to pay for the difference.
If we got 100, it'd be like $25,000.
Yeah, right,
But we actually have to pay the whole 100.
yeah. And even with us casting this net now, the recreational passport one is one that we wouldn't get until, like, we would apply now. We're probably not gonna get that funding until December. And so that project actually probably isn't gonna take place until the following fiscal year. And just because we have the funds, you don't have to use it in December. So, and like I said, the one that's the federal grant, it could be a couple of years before we get the full funding. So I think it's just worth it to throw out now and see with that. Steve said he'll do a better mock-up of this. I think that's great already, but he's like, I'll do it with the nice lines. I'm gonna do the Steve thing. And then we'll cast that out and see if it seems like a thing that they would actually cover. And Justin's done things that will help us. You know, he's fixed the ADA compliant picnic tables and got those back in the order they should be. He's getting that grant. He's getting a free sign in a sense. We're not paying anything upfront actually, for a sign that is for children who are nonverbal to point out what they want to do. And that's, you know, gonna help with our sport to try to get approved for these things. So. The other one is the letter we've already done for the Mijda housing grant. So Dalton Township is presently in the process of applying for the 400,000 Community Development Block Grant Fund. We were told that they have held that funding for us, so we just have to meet the application and standards. So we've been approved, but we have to like do the stuff to be fully approved. It is a reimbursement grant. I don't know how long it would take for these projects, for people to actually apply, because they have to meet a certain income requirement. But the idea is it's meant for housing repairs. So people who are low to moderate income, you know, and you think about our growing senior population, you know, maybe they have leaking windows. Maybe they don't have running water in their sink. You know, have a hot water heater, a water heater that's out. You know, these are things that this would help. And each individual project can go up to 40,000. So I don't know that they actually would, but that's a good amount of money. So if somebody's like need all their windows replaced.
Right.
But that is the thing that, again, we pay the contractor, we put in that reimbursement to the grant, and then they refund us. So it's like an out and then back in. We will have to create our separate GLs for that. So there will be money in that account that you'll just see continue to do that. But that more information will come on that as we get a little bit further and bring it back to the board for at least you guys to know where we're at in the process, because we did already approve applying for it. But to create those GLs and stuff, it'll have to come back. Okay, fire fund. Oh, before I leave the general fund, did anybody have any?
I wanted to bring up with, Heather. She is wanting to stay at part-time. She's not going to get any benefits. She is not going to be getting any retirement. So that is why we're not doing the full-time, and because she wants to stay at part-time. So
So it did end up saving us a little bit in that sense that we weren't paying.
we're saving.
Yeah,
with the-
then we did ask, because she had a retirement account already, you know, if we could do it, and they said we can't add our part-time, it's not in the underwriting of the policy, so.
Are we gonna go over this at all?
I went over the things that I changed significantly. If there, do you have a question regarding any of the others?
I just, for information,
Mhm.
what's local community stabilization? What page do you want that? Number one,
That's a revenue.
Yeah.
is revenue, yep.
You want this one?
I'm looking at it's probably not gonna help me either.
It's 573.000.
Yeah, that's what we get from, that's the part of the Headley that we
The
get.
Headley grant.
Yeah, it's part of the Headley fund. It's a one time.
One-time payment.
Comes in every year. That
It's
was
once a year?
Yeah.
Okay.
that was when they created the Headley, that's what supposed to get.
What's Metro Act money?
Metro Act is the, I guess, running of lines, and like people have to pull permits and things for those too. Like Michigan,
Consumables,
yeah.
which is power, gas, utility.
Mhm.
That's all taxed that when you, if I go to get my, I'm on propane at my house and I wanna have natural gas. Where I pay to have that gas line run, I pay DTE. DTE has to pay a tax to that. I pay DTE that tax, that part of that tax goes to the county.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay, so it's money.
But it's all money that comes back from state money. It's all state revenue, basically. It's not from property tax, it's from
The other taxes.
yeah, it's not like getting the word.
It's services that's done that way.
Yeah, but it's.
Okay, your interest income, this year we said $40,000 and you got proposed for next year, $120,000.
Mhm.
How are we getting an extra $80,000?
So if you look at the previous years, I was talking to Christy about this too. And I looked at what we have currently in there, so I'll get here real quick.
43.
Yeah, so we're, I think, over that for this year. So we've just been consistently putting 40,000 as what we're gonna get in that. And we have been definitely getting more than that. So
All right,
I put the 120, that's still low balling.
okay, so 40,000 was what we put in last year and it just is
It's real low.
okay.
Yeah.
And the cell
Yeah.
tower revenue is gonna go down.
Mhm.
I got that figured out. Okay. And we're looking at operating on an income that was equivalent to what we did in 24.
Pretty close, yeah.
Okay,
And like I said, at the end of this one, we end up with a difference that's negative. And there have been years, I mean, it doesn't really show it. On this, because it's just has the appropriations and revenues. Let's see here. But. Yeah, so that's why the fund balance is on there. That is how much money that over the years of them not meeting the revenue versus expenditures should usually try to meet. And we have had multiple years where we have not, we've just been had extra. And it's built up to the point where you have that 1,437,000. So even if we go over, the fund balance can compensate for it, but ultimately, if some of those projects were like, hey, that doesn't need to happen or whatever, at least you know where it's coming from and why. Most of this, keep in mind, we got like $60,000 in there for the election equipment, which we may get reimbursed back
Yeah.
for. And then those road projects, which we can't not do road projects. And then, you know, with Justin capital outlay purchase of the tractor, you know, that stuff does add up. It's not every year expenses. We're not gonna buy a new tractor again next year and new election equipment next year. But this is just a year where we've had,
Well, it's just
it's
like
been a little stressful.
2017 was like that,
It's,
you know?
yeah, it's been a little bit stressful as the people have been coming in, I'm like, let's sit and talk about your budget. They're like, I need this, this, and this. And I'm like, you do? Okay. Well, let's put it in there and see what happens. But, and maybe we'll get, I always try to estimate low on revenue because you never want to guess that you're going to get too much. So there might be a chance even that we equal out, but I wanted to at least have it out there. Okay. Got anything else, Eugene?
Well, there's several things I mark in paint, but some of them you managed when you're going through there and see the capital outlays make sense with what you talked about there. Health insurance that went up. What's the administrative assistant to the treasurer?
That is right there.
Kristen.
Kristen.
Okay,
So they get, and
we're budgeting that, but that's actually going to wind up being the hourly stuff that we're talking about up here on the left hand chart.
correct.
Got it.
Which we need to make an adjustment.
And then the elections, we went from 10,000 to 90,000, that because of the equipment we had, correct?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. Makes sense now.
It's shock value. That's why I made the slides. So I'm like, I can tell you the things that would shock you.
Slides, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how my brain works.
It's a point, yeah.
AI ain't got notes on me.
I think there's
Hey,
a question.
nothing I can't.
Good. Okay. We will move on to the fire fund. Just a little overview on what comes out of the fire fund, fire and EMS response. Comes out of the budget. There are very few times that we bill our residents for this service. Most examples being of insurance claims for insurance purposes that we need to be able to bill and, but we try to keep that minimum. Fire prevention, Dalton has an amazing fire prevention open house, with substantial support and involvement from other local emergency services. We do have people that come from all over to go to that. Fire staffing and training, Dalton Township residents voted a few years ago to have the increase in millage to have the full-time guys. Then also, chief is really adamant about making sure that the guys train and they train well and they know what they're doing. That's one thing that other departments say we do really well. So, some of that is in there too. And chief really does work hard to keep that cost low, which even though we do pay for training, with the experience and stuff from some of the guys and chief, we keep that cost very low. The few things that he had, in repair, maintenance and PPE. We have turnout gear, it is 10 years. And it is only allowed to be for 10 years and then it's retired. So he needs to buy new gear. The fire department radio speakers are more than 20 years old. And they should be replaced so that the full-time guys, now that we have them here, right? The full-time guys are here all the time, need to be able to hear when the calls go out. Otherwise they're having to carry around their portable radio with them. It's not a super fun time taking that into the bathroom with you. So we can just have the speakers work. That'd be great. And then building repair, the water heater, not a hot water heater. I got a lesson in that. For the fire department. Yeah. don't heat hot water.
Call that hot water.
For the fire department needs to be replaced. Also, will be coming in this meeting, next week. The bay doors, the openers are going bad, which kind of need to open. So
What can I say?
the
Kind of
chief has some budget, money in his budget this year, so we can try to get them ordered. That'll come in this next meeting. But if for some reason we don't love that, it should be a thing that we take care of next year, so. Because they need to have doors that open. Fire pay and staffing, again, the COLA increase, the 2.8. Yeah, the additional guys were brought on with that millage. And it has been positive. We've had really good response times. It's been great having the guys around too. Overall, I think it's been really good for the community.
No,
I'm
not.
And then I just put on here, the Roadhouse crew continues to kick butt and take names. And still working really well. Alright. Anybody got any questions on fire fund?
Out of their village anyway, right?
Which, just a reminder, 2017, the equipment and staffing village comes back up. We'll discuss that if we want to raise it or just maintain it.
Was it in 2017?
Yeah,
27.
We said,
Yeah, 10 years, we had it in 17.
See, I told you.
10 years.
Years.
He did it because it was voted in 17. It's voted at 17 and it's 10 years.
But it's 10 years, so in 27, we have to think about going for another renewal or increase or whatever.
And next year.
Which I thought part of it was already in the last one.
No, that's the operating. So
Oh.
there's two millages. There's an operating and there's a increased protection. What we did was the increased protection was 10 years. The operating was 20. What we did was we broke two requests in the ballot. One, renew the operating as is for their 20 years.
Mhm.
Create the second one for staffing that is 10 years. But that was only the equipment. We had that one increased and keeps that, which restarted. We got the first part of money in 23. In 26, the millage, we wrote that early, that millage is done. So that was
Yeah.
gonna renew automatically, which it did in January 1st, it renewed, and it's been good for 20 years.
I need you to draw me that.
The other millage, which is the operating and building fund to buy the fire trucks, is the one that expires in
Okay.
17, which, 2017, 10 years. You know, 10 year, we got in 17, expires in 10. We need to think about if we want to just redo it or increase.
Yeah.
There's a federal lawsuit right now, a class action suit going against the Rev Group and the manufacturer of fire trucks that are screwing us, basically. The fire truck we bought in 2022 was $563,286.48. That fire truck now is 1.5 million.
Mhm.
They're just gouging. And so the federal lawsuit, we are hoping will be finalized before that happens, where we can see the costs come back down if we need to replace the fire truck. But that also maintains the building.
Yeah.
And that's the which is obviously we still have,
Mhm.
we've done pretty much everything, but we've already dumped $500,000 in that building.
Yeah.
We gotta keep it, so we're gonna have to do some more. We're gonna have to start thinking about the parking lot out here, the entire complex, right, that's almost 10 years old now.
Mhm.
That we need to think about repaving or at least resealing, so obviously we take half of that cost, but some of those bigger things we're gonna need to look at.
Next fiscal, not this
You
one,
know,
but
but
this.
the saying, if we keep that millage, we can then use that money,
Mhm.
which I'm not being a jerk, but I'm $300,000 under budget.
Mhm.
So that money's gonna go into a fund, again, that fund balance that we have, that we can sit and say, we got money left over that I can. At 1.2 million that I've got sitting, right, that we can use. The problem is we can't cross it. I can't take it. Probably to get away with the parking lot, that'd probably be about it. I can't transfer anything over because of. But I think that we need to think about some of those things as we move forward.
Mhm.
Again, like she said, repaving things. the complex we need to think about, right, as a whole, not just us, but the complex in general, so we need to think about the next year. But like she said, the accrued costs are gonna happen, we need to think about those longevity wise for all of us.
Yes.
That's just something.
Maintaining.
And anything, right? I put a bag on, or a bow on the bag of dump.
Sure.
Bag it up, right?
Right. Well, I know we did some major building repairs
Yes.
for,
Both.
with ARPA, for both.
Right, which helped, that ARPA helped, and that was something you saw with the revenues, why was it so much more back in those years, because we had the ARPA money. Well,
Right.
now that's gone, right?
Mhm.
So now those things we were doing,
And it had to be gone.
and it had to be, right, we didn't have a choice,
Mhm.
which was great, except now we go backwards,
Right.
Right.
which is where I think we're gonna go for another couple of years. And we'll go back up again.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
that's all I have for mine.
Okay. Anybody else got anything else? Okay. Next thing is cemetery fund, opening and closing of grave plots is probably the biggest thing that we spend money in the cemetery fund, one of them anyway. That used to be the fire chief. We don't make Alan do that. I don't want Alan to do that. I used to do that.
I have enough help killing them out.
Yeah, and you don't need to be the one responsible for that. But West Michigan Burial Vault Company is the one who does the burials for us. And we pay them. Their rates have gone up a little bit. So I know the girls and Justin had talked about, potentially looking at either this year or the following year, changing our rates a little to try to accommodate for the increases that they've had for burials. Which is unfortunate, but again, this is another thing that we have that we don't make money on. I don't feel like that's a right thing, but like we shouldn't be making a ton of money on this, but there are things that we have to do. So maintenance, anything that happens at the cemetery, Oakland, which is on Russell Road, and Twin Lake, it's on Blue Lake Road, are our cemeteries. It's not in the budget for this year, but something we're probably gonna have to look at in the next few years is replacing the water lines for irrigation at Twin Lake. Because there's been several breaks.
So we're going over it again.
Yes, it's fine. There's been several breaks, and that costs money for them to come out and replace lines and do the stuff. And then we have the operation of the cemetery, which is buying the veterans flags. And we don't just buy for us. As the local municipality, we are responsible for any cemetery in our jurisdiction. So that means Oak Hill, which is on Pillin. We buy the flags for their veterans as well. Other operating is, if Justin needs to buy gravel or grass seed or whatever it is that's specifically for cemetery use, he buys out of that. You try to keep those costs relatively low. If it's something that Justin's like, hey, I need to buy some gravel or some dirt, and I need some of it for the cemetery and some of it for Beagle, we split it. So that we're not putting all of it within the one fund, to try to keep the costs from being crazy. The 3 projects that they had requested, do you want to do this? I'll let you do this. This is Kristen. She is going to be nervous that I just did that to her. But she is the deputy treasurer and also one of the cemetery coordinators, because we had split that between the 2 girls. And then they worked with Justin, obviously, for maintenance and grounds.
Motion change it back to what it really was.
What? Sexton?
Sexton.
So stupid. Oh, it's cemetery.
Yeah, do you wanna, you don't have to get up, but do you wanna tell them what the projects are?
So Twin Lake, we want to create more parking, because currently if there's a burial, people are parking pretty close to grave sites, which isn't super great. So we would like to do that, and we would like to add a columbarium way far in the future, which would be nice to have parking to access that, so you're not trekking across a lot of plots. Oakland, right on Russell, that does need some new fencing, but that fencing could be used for the dog park is what we're hoping. So just update that, make it look a little nicer. And there's no water out there, so we've had a few residents who have had family members buried there and are kind of upset that they can't really water their flowers. Justin does have a rain barrel that he fills, but also that's just another thing on his list that he's gotta make sure he goes and takes care of.
There it is. That's pills.
Do I explain it? Or need to- I don't care. So they decided to break it into 2 phases. The yellow is parking, is plots that are not used currently. And we would have to abandon those. We'd have to abandon those to make room for parking. This area was decided because if they did future columbariums, that's kind of where they were thinking. That might come to the board as like a temporary hold on those plots for a period of time, so that if we do get to the point where we can do a columbarium, that those are available to put those in.
This is Twin Lane.
This is Twin Lake.
Okay.
And
So this is the 3rd edition. There's the old section, this is the road down the middle,
Blue Lake's right down.
and that. So this is like the halfway road of Twin Lake Cemetery, if you guys find it. We had a burial up in this corner, and they thought that the marker was just a little too close to the road. So we went out and we measured, and I was like, maybe you're right. Maybe it is too close to the road. And I called West Michigan Burial, and he said, I think you put the marker a little too close to the road. Guy came out and he said, look at your survey stakes. And he measured that out with me. And the road is a little bit beyond where those survey stakes are. And very much so in that corner. About half of that plot is eaten up by road. So those definitely should be abandoned because that road isn't gonna get, it has to be that wide for people to turn around. Or to turn, not around,
Right.
but to just keep going. And then this is where we could create parking, because what she said happens is we have burials up here. And the only available parking is way down here.
That's only 4 kilometers.
Yes.
Yeah. So if we create some space, then people can park. This is where we have the most available space to sell. Another thing that the girls were working on was coming up with some maybe Facebook advertising to say, once this is gone, it's gone. I know it's kind of morbid, but there's no more space to buy. So once this is sold, it's sold and that's it. You can't be buried there. So, that is a proposed plan for that.
Well,
They're dying to get in there.
that's my joke, stop.
Do I get so that was about 8,000 to 9,000 with putting that phase of the parking in. And then Justin talked about putting some of the like fencing we have there now. It's just wood 4x4s with the, yeah, with the black metal poles in them. So, yes.
And that's nice for us in winter too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of people, I mean, elderly people, they don't want to be walking,
No.
you know.
Even in spring and summertime, we have a mobile problem. It's always gonna be a problem, I think.
Yes.
Justin and I feel so terrible for him, but this is kind of hilly,
Yeah,
and I've had to like hold little old ladies and walk with them so that they didn't fall on the mobile. But parking would be great, because the one lady, I had to walk with her she parked on this road and the burial was over here.
yeah.
You know, if she had parking and be a little bit closer than trying to get to where she needed. Anyway. But that's the second phase, because we're not sure we need all of that yet until we do the one. And we're like, it's on the other side of the cemetery. Makes more sense to do it there. Okay. Did you have anything else to add? Anything on cemetery? Any more questions about it? That one did go over. It goes over almost every year. And then the other funds is the water special assessment. We have a special assessment on all the residents who connected to water at the time that that bond was pulled. Road special assessments, we have different ones for road projects that we've done. And then we have some maintenance ones for private roads. That we pay, and the road commission does it. So it's like they pay us, we pay them. Sort of life. Lake special assessments. West, middle, twin, and north. Lake all have special assessments. And that was what we had kind of run into last year. We had to increase some of those funds because they hadn't paid for years and years and years, but we're still doing the things, and then they requested extra things. And we're like, wait a minute, we've got like $1,000 left in your fund. So that went on the roll. So we should be getting money from special assessment today with it. The other one is, the other fund is not a special assessment, but is our sewer operating. We own the responsibility of our sewer lines and the cost of repairs. Yeah. We partner with Muskegon DPW for maintenance and review on them, so they let us know if there's things that need to happen. But that is why we have the sewer fund savings and why we need to keep separate sewer fund savings. Because if something happens, that's us. So definitely something that we need to make sure. And a lot of those you'll see that they had, like the special assessments had on their finance coordinator reviewing. That is only because I looked at it and it was super confusing to me, and I asked her to please look at it and make sure that it was right. And I think we're still okay. That's it, guys. Anybody got anything else?
On the sewer though, I do put assessments on it.
Yeah, for the lines themselves that went in.
Correct.
Yeah,
Okay,
just so on
clarification,
Whitehall
Bill.
Road, yeah, there's a sewer operating. And then there's the
Line.
sewer assessments, which is the lines that went in on Whitehall Road and.
Just clarification.
Yeah. Oops.
I have a question on cemeteries. We are charging people the proper amount that it costs us to open a grave and close it and all this, yes.
We
So
get,
we're not losing money there, right?
no,
Okay.
we get a small amount.
Varies.
We overcharge it a little. Only because we do not charge in any of our cemeteries a perpetual care fee. And some cemeteries charge a yearly fee for perpetual care. We don't do that.
Well, that perpetual care money should be coming from the sale of plots. Am I wrong in that?
It does. It does. Yes, but we charge right now. I think it's like 800, I think, for a plot. And you
If
can
you're a
have
resident.
4 cremations and 1 casket burial in a plot. They're big plots too. But $800 isn't gonna maintain it for,
It's a one-time.
yeah. So then we do a little small bit of an increase on burials and foundations and things like that, so that as events happen and people are buried, we're getting a little bit.
I'm just comparing to my experience in Utah, but are we charging for placing of a headstone? They come out and place a headstone?
So,
I'll have to look at what they charge
yeah,
in comparison.
because we don't have, like Justin isn't doing a lot of that. We outsource it.
Yeah.
West Michigan Burial does come and put the foundations in for us. Then the marker, like the foundation or the monument company comes out and places it on the foundation.
It just seems like I've got a headstone, but I haven't placed it yet, but there's a charge from the
Mhm.
cemetery for placing that headstone.
Yeah, and some of them do, like I know Ludington does, because they have they have a crew of people that like adjust on cemetery stuff.
Okay.
And like other DPW things, but they have like a whole DPW department and
A lot of
But-
cities take care of their own
yeah,
as well.
like Norton Shores, I know, City of Muskegon,
Great.
Parks and.
yeah, they're,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep, but I asked Justin, I said, would you consider, if we get the tractor and stuff, do you want to do burials? And he's like, no,
That's a hard
Oh my
one.
God.
So funny story, years ago, that's why the green tractor got bought. The
Yeah.
green tractor had a backhoe on it, with an attachment, and the fire chief would go out and dig a grave and get
Who
it.
does that then?
Blue Lake
Township, West
Yeah, Blue Lake's still.
Blue Lake does it.
Mhm. So West Michigan Burial Vault does, opening and closing for cremations, burials, foundations. And I think that's it.
Yeah. What about admin? You guys charge for admin for all the things that you do?
The only admin fees, we do have a schedule, is like if they want to add another person to their burial rights certificate, or they want to transfer a certificate, that we charge like $25. Or no, if they lose it, it's $25. If it's a thing, it's for 40. Because it takes some time to get it drawn up, but we really don't like charge a crazy amount for the stuff. I know when I looked, pretty comparable to the cemetery at City of Whitehall, pretty comparable to Montague. And we have really nice cemeteries.
Yeah.
Like Twin Lake is a very nice cemetery. Other than not having paved roads, it's a very beautiful, very good cemetery. So, you know, some smaller townships, the only rule is that you have to mow the grass twice a year. And some of them do not mow the grass very often. So,
Our guys do.
yeah.
You know.
Trust me.
Yeah, they do in Utah. They take good care of it.
You know, kind of-
So what's the next step?
I mean,
Budget.
the next step is that I'll bring those proposals for the salary to the board. I have a few tweaks that I said I want to make Steve's salary. I wanted to look at that. If I change anything, it's just gonna be minimal. And then those grants would have to be creations of new GLs, so those would just come to the board as they happen anyway. Even if we did a parks one, I think it would have to be its own GL fund.
Are we meeting next month?
If you guys are comfortable with how it looks now, I don't think we need to. But if you got, I set that other one just in case we were like, hey, we hate this, and so if you guys are pretty satisfied with it, then we'll just.
It is. It's like the state, like with the election equipment, it's state mandated
Yeah.
that all of the state does it. So what Lori said was, I'm going to say,
Yeah.
we don't know if we're going to get,
She had to bounce.
you know, she says, I'm going to say that we don't know if we're going to get any kickback.
But they
But
could.
being a mandated,
And the state helps pay for it 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So there's a good chance that the state will help.
and that's a
get-
lot of money.
But, you know,
I
that's
really feel bad for some of these townships and cities that have 40 precincts,
Right,
yeah.
you know,
For
that,
us,
and it's a mandated thing.
right.
And like I said, the higher hit this year doesn't mean that it's gonna be as high of a hit next year, like even though we went over. We have money in the fund balance to cover it, but there are things that are like, we're not gonna need another tractor for like 20 years. We're not gonna need another dump trailer for 20 years. You know? But it just, we actually got people that are working hard and doing their jobs. So now we're like, oh, you need stuff to do your job? That kind of makes sense.
You're only as good as what I told you.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's like every 10 years you get hit. 17, you got hit, you know, because everything, it lasts for, it expires in 10
Then
years.
there'd be another
10 years and 10 years.
So that's a good point. So they have most townships, and Steve and I were talking about it, and that's another thing. That's a Steve doing, but Steve, it's not a Steve's job. But he helps. We should have a capital improvement plan, which is like a fund that just continues to do that. So you're like, oh, I bought a tractor, and in 20 years, I'm probably gonna have to replace a tractor.
Right.
And I just did the roof on the maintenance garage, and I'm probably gonna have to do that again in 20 years or 30 years. So making that that plan,
Right.
capital improvement plan. And that is a thing that we do not, to my knowledge, currently have. So I think that we will.
So you've put in the budget for the trailer and the tractor. We're not buying a used tractor. Budget.
Yeah.
I don't, I'm like, if you're gonna get it, you
Right.
gotta get it.
Yeah.
And
All right. I agree.
Yes.
he, Justin comes in and he's like, got another thing I gotta add. It's fine, but it's social, it's fine. But
Can we,
he's super conservative with funds, like and I've told him before, like, sometimes you gotta like just spend the money that you need to spend, because you're spending hours doing it this other way.
Yes.
And he's out there wrenching on stuff,
Yeah.
you know, a lot.
Yeah. All right, are we good?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Nolan, we have support. Support by Lee, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Okay, adjourn,
At
7:22.
Thank you.
I the longest meeting we've had.
Conversation.
Hold up, I gotta get this on.
Are we good with this meeting?
What do you mean?
I mean,
Well, I mean, yeah.
for next month, yes.
Yeah. I think we are.
Okay, yeah, we could bring it up at the next one.